Welcome, welcome, Vahu Ramus. Welcome, welcome, Damu Damu.
Hello students, it's Mrs. Giroux. Welcome to your December 9th Friday bell work. Today we are going to analyze the claims that you submitted back in week 3 before I explain where to find the bell work and how to go about doing it. So here is the rubric that I'll be using this week. It's pretty similar to what I've been doing except for the last part. So for 3 points, you will be writing one sentence only. So no 2 to 3 sentence claims, okay? For 3 points, you'll restate your prompt thoroughly. For 4 points, you'll cite at least 2 focused and specific evidence-based facts, and your sentence must be organized clearly. So up to this point, you've really only needed to provide 1 piece of evidence. Now I want you to build your game up a little bit and provide 2. So let's start going over some of the claims that were submitted in week 3. Which graphic type is superior, vector or raster? Here's an almost. Vector is better because it uses more precise lines and sharp edges when drawing or creating an image. The prompt is restated, but it's not thorough, so that if someone were to read this claim, they would know exactly what type of vector you're referring to, because we've got vectors in physics, we've got vectors in math, and now we've got these vectors in graphic arts. So there's probably other vectors that I'm not even aware of. So we want to make sure that our viewer knows exactly what we're talking about. So restate the whole thing. Vector is better than raster graphics because it uses more precise lines and sharp edges when drawing or creating an image. Here's an almost. Raster is superior because it is easier to use. So begging the question, superior to what, right? Raster is superior to vector graphics because it is easier to use. Here's an almost. Vector graphic is better because if you wanted to zoom in, the image would be intact. Okay, let's go beyond just restating the prompt clearly here. What about the evidence? Could it be more focused and specific? Why would the image still be intact on a vector graphic, in other words? So vector graphic is better than raster because if you wanted to zoom in, the image would be intact due to the fact that it uses mathematical equations, not pixels, to create an image. Okay, so we're getting more complete, right? Let's take a look at that claim now that we just wrote, and let's think about how we could rewrite it. So it's focused and specific, and let's organize it the best way possible. So vector graphic is better than raster because it uses mathematical equations to draw points, lines, and shapes rather than pixels. So now I'm comparing the two. I'm showing what's better about vector versus raster, right? And I'm being more specific. Therefore, when you zoom in on a vector graphic, the image quality is completely sharp rather than looking pixelated. So you just see that's just a little more complete, more focused. It just gives the reader more information so that they can walk away from just reading the claim and have kind of a better understanding of why. In your paper, you can go into it in far more detail. One of the other things I wanted to point out here is the use of the semicolon. So in that first analysis, which I've asked you guys to watch, and I'd love it if you went back and watched it because I talk in detail about how to use the semicolon. I think it's a really important tool for students to learn how to use because it helps you to build more complex sentences. So in a situation where you've got all these thoughts and you're trying to fit them into one sentence and you're like, but I can't, I need at least 2 sentences. Well, here's the solution. You can join 2 sentences together using a semicolon and it makes it 1 sentence, okay? So this is a great example of how you can do that. And for some reason, my graphics are coming up out of order. Oh well. I believe that vector graphics are superior to raster graphics because they don't distort the image regardless of its size. So here's the analysis. A perfect claim, right? Except for the writer did what? The writer wrote, I believe, okay? So we don't want to do that. This is a claim, not an opinion. So if you wrote it, it's a given that you believed it, right? Not necessarily, because sometimes you are put to the test of, can you take an idea that you don't believe in and still provide logical evidence to support it, okay? But we don't want to use the word I believe words. So here we would fix it just by taking that out, and the rest of it is great. Vector graphics are superior to raster graphics because they don't distort the image regardless of its size. Love the way you restated the prompt thoroughly. Good job. Almost. The raster is far more superior due to its big size of pixels when zooming in. Also, seeing all the colors are beautiful. Okay. First off, I always want you to use that sentence ending punctuation. So read your claim out loud to yourself. Okay. Does it make sense? Always do that. And so I think I might have read it the way it was supposed to be written, because sometimes our brains fill in the blank. The raster is far superior is what is actually written here. So we've got to remember when we reread our stuff that we read it the way it's written, not the way our brain will, fill in the blanks and make it the way that it is intended to be, okay? So read it out loud. According to the video, zooming in, so we had watched a video about raster versus vector graphics, right? And in that video, zooming in to see pixels was a negative, not a positive. When you zoom in and you see something is all pixelated, that's not a good thing. So when you are trying to print graphics, you don't want to see pixels, okay? You want the image to be sharp and clear. Both vector and raster graphics also have beautiful colors. So I noticed that you put up there also seeing all the colors are beautiful. So my question is, what's the difference between the two? They both have beautiful colors, right? Correct. So let's think about writing it this way. Raster graphics are superior to vector because they are made of thousands of pixels, which allow photographs to be composed of hundreds of beautiful colors. Okay, so that kind of takes all of those ideas that you were talking about and turns that thing about pixels into a positive and incorporates the thing that you love about it, the beautiful colors. Here's an example of some circular reasoning. Vectors are better because the quality is better than rasters. So I'm saying they're better because it's better. See how that's kind of circular? What makes the quality better? That's what we need to know. You can't just say it's better. All you've done is chased your tail around in a circle, right? So without evidence, you're just stating an opinion, not a claim. Here's an example where you've really got to remember you've got to take a side, okay? Don't play it safe. So the graphic type that is superior does depend on what artwork that is being made. True. However, graphic vectors use a mathematical formula to define the geometric primitives. So when using vector, even magnifying up close on the picture, the image is crystal clear, whereas raster, the art will blur due to the pixels it uses. Excellent. So perfect, okay? But don't be wishy-washy in the beginning, all right? Pick a side, show that it's true with your evidence. Don't try to please both sides of your conscience, okay? That's not what this exercise is about. This is about taking a position, and it really doesn't matter which side you take. And whether or not you believe it to be true, you're supporting it with evidence, okay? The vector graphic is superior because it is resolution independent, smaller file size, and mathematically described objects. Okay, so this is excellent job stating focused and specific evidence. The sentence is organized clearly. Just make sure that you restate that prompt thoroughly. Don't leave holes for your reader. So the vector graphic is superior to the raster graphic. And then the rest of it just is perfect. And I love this one because you provided 3 pieces of evidence. Excellent. This week you need to provide at least 2. Here's an almost. Vector graphics is better than raster graphics because you can resize it as much as you want and never have to worry about the image being distorted. So this is where you have to do that read it out loud thing. Vector graphics is better or vector graphics are better. Probably are, because graphics is plural, so you want to use a plural verb that agrees. And that's all I have for you as far as the claims that you've submitted. And thanks so much, everybody, for all that you do to give us material that we can learn from. We're now going to go into the classroom, click on the content, scroll down to week 6, and click on that Friday bell ringer. So if that week 6 folder happens to be closed, just click on it and it will open up that Friday bell ringer folder. Click on that. And once you do, you'll notice I'll have directions in there at that point, and then there's this Friday Bell Work quiz. So you can just click on that and open it. For me, I have to preview it since I'm a teacher. I can't actually take it. So you go in there. Let's just see what the prompt is. Should art be rare and expensive, or should it be mass-produced and inexpensive? Should art be rare and expensive, or should it be mass-produced and inexpensive? You're going to choose one side, okay? So don't say both. Yes, I know there are situations where both could be true. Claims are judged by your ability to provide evidence only, so not by your actual opinion, all right? Don't worry about your conscience on this. This is just an exercise, okay? In a regular argument paper, you would actually state your claim, and down in the paper, there's actually a place where you are required to state the counterclaim or the other side of the argument. So fear not, you will have an opportunity in an argument paper to state the counterclaim or the other side, okay? It's just not going to happen in your claim. So how will we start these? We're going to restate the prompt clearly, right? So there's two different positions you could state. You could either do art should be rare and expensive because and you need to come up with a couple of reasons, right? Evidence, facts, not opinions. Or art should be mass produced and inexpensive because, okay? So you need to restate that prompt. That's how you would do it. Pick whichever side that you're going to do, and then you need to state two logical fact-based pieces of evidence to support, and make sure that it's organized and focused and all of that good stuff, and incorporate that rubric that we talked about in the video earlier. That'll be posted in here so you'll be able to see it. All right, so that's all I've got for you today. You have 1 week to complete this Friday Bell work, which means next Friday at 9 a.m. it will close out and no late submissions will be accepted, due to the fact that the following Friday you'll have another bell ringer coming up, and you're meant to do these weekly as weekly practice. So have an awesome weekend, and I appreciate you listening all the way to the end. Thank you.